Hello, my name's Nina Chung, and today we're going to be showing you the hush hush way to add some amazing volume and dimension to your beautiful hair. Our model today is going to be Beachy, and we're going to be using some 14-inch clip-ins today. That's the length that her hair is currently, so really our goal is to give her some much needed volume, although she does have an extraordinary canvas of hair, and also just to add some amazing highlights, a little bit of tone. This is a great alternative for people that are interested in experimenting with color without having to damage their hair or commit to something long-term or permanently. I'm going to start at the nape of her neck, and I'm going to add a 3-piece one, and then I'm going to concentrate more in the top portions of her head, because in order to really get the full effect of having highlights and dimension, you want to concentrate on installing the clip-ins as high to the top as possible, because there's less hair covering them up and they'll be able to show better. Because Beachy has a very smooth canvas, it is a good idea to back comb slightly just so that you can get them to stay in the hair. And for those of you that don't know, you just hold onto the hair, you use a fine-tooth comb, and you will just slide up the shaft of the hair in like a reverse motion. And this is very easy to come out. Before I ever did this, I would be terrified of this because I thought that it would get the hair completely tangled, but that is not the case at all. It's very easy to undo. The same way you put it in, you just gently use a comb and undo it. It's got 3 clips on it, and they work best if you pop them out. One thing that I do notice with these extensions that are blonde versus the ones that were black is that the clips are a slight bit smaller. And that may be because they're a light brown color versus being a black color, and depending on the color of the extensions will determine what color the clips are that are attached to the hair. And you're just going to press it against the head and snap it in. And remember, if you put it in the wrong place, don't be afraid or hesitate to reinstall it. And you don't have to be extra careful or precise when installing in the back of the head, because you will not see it that much. Wow. And instantly you're a blonde. All right, so this section kind of goes from left to right, from ear to ear. So what I'm going to use in this section is one of the pieces that has 4 clips. And before we begin, I'll do the same thing that I did last time. I'm going to back comb in 4 sections right where the clips would be. And the reason that we do this is for hair that is relatively straight or that has a very sleek cuticle. This allows as a little bit of an insurance so that the clip will have some texture to grip onto. And another thing that you can do is add a bit of styling spray, working spray, but I'm not going to add too much of that, only because her hair is extremely fine, so product buildup can tend to not allow the hairstyle to last as long. So I'm going to use one of the wefts that has 4 clips on it. And you always want to go in and open them or release them by popping them out. Sometimes people get them and they just start to install them, and then they wonder why it doesn't stay very well. And the reason being is because the clips need to be popped open before you can install them properly in the head. And then you just lay them flat on the head and apply pressure on the 2 corners so that they close. And wow, look at that. It adds an amazing amount of dimension. And these ones that we've chosen, they have varying shades and tones within them. So it's not one blank sheet or sleet of blonde hair. So we're just going to add a reasonable amount so that you'll be able to see the notes of blonde, and it'll complement her everyday look. So she can choose to wear this to work or to lunch with friends, or even if she's going out. And again, this is an amazing alternative to actually permanently lightening your hair. Because for some of us, once we do these chemical processes on our hair, eventually it compromises the integrity of your hair and it's not as healthy or as strong as it was when it's in its natural state. So this is a great alternative to damaging the health of your hair. And so I've already popped the clips open, and I'm just going to lay them against her head and snap them shut. And when you're installing them, you always want to leave a veil of hair out along the hairline so that it has the most natural look possible, and so that if the wind should blow, the tracks won't be exposed. One thing to really be cognizant of is how your natural part falls on your hair. If you have a natural part that goes through to the back of your head, you want to be careful not to apply the clip-ins in an area where they'll be exposed after natural movement occurs with your hair, as you don't want the tracks to ever show. You want it to always seem like it's your natural hair. So since we're at the top of her head, I'm going to use the smaller pieces. And these are really convenient because you can add as many of them as you'd like. I don't typically back comb the hair in this top region, only because I want it to lay as smooth as possible so it can have the most natural effect. And in fact, I think I've put this one too close to the front, so I'm just going to go in very easily, snap it open, and reinstall it about a ½ inch back from where I initially placed it. And don't be afraid to remove the clip-in and reposition it if you don't do it exactly the way you want it. It won't mess up the rest of the hair, and it won't be impossible to do. I'm going to add 2 up here. Face frame, which is just having bursts of color right around the front of your face, is always complementary when determining where you want to see the added color. And here this looks a little drastic in terms of contrast when you see it in this manner, but always remember that there's going to be an additional veil of hair coming down over this, so it's going to just blend in perfectly. I'm going to turn her around slightly, and I'm going to begin to add some on the other side. If you're unsure of where the clip-ins that you've already installed lie, a great way of checking for it is just running your hand along the canvas of her hair. And there's one right here, so I'm not going to go as far back as that. And one technique that you can use is laying them in a brick lay formation. And if you think of how bricks are formulated, they just kind of lay staggered on top of each other. So there's one that lives just here. So I've just come just a slight bit below that, and then I'll lift her hair up and clip it, and we'll have the ability to put 2 clip-ins right on top of each other without them interfering with one another. I'm going to use one of the ones that has 3 combs. So I'll just back comb 3 sections. And just like that. The thing that I love about these Hush Hush extensions is that they're very user-friendly. They're very easy to install, even if you're a novice. And I think we're just going to add maybe 1 more right in the crown area, because this is where it's most important, as these hairs show the most when your hair is styled down. And I'm just popping the clips open. And because we're at the top, I'm not going to back comb because I want it to be flat and sleek. But if you have hair that is really straight and this method doesn't work, it's totally okay to back comb even in this top region, because you can't see it anyways. And this has made her hair like dream girl full, like hair that every lady wants kind of hair. I really, really, really like this. And I'll add 1 final one just at the very top, so it can offer a real pop. And the end result of this is so nice. The compliments are never ending. And you'd be surprised how much attention just making slight changes to your hairstyle can create for you. And I don't know about for everyone else, but for me, it's a real confidence booster when I actually take time to do something to make myself look nice and everyone notices. It makes it feel worthwhile. And it's important to have patience with this. You don't want to take sections that are too big because then it won't curl well. And it's all really a matter of personal preference. So this is a little bit of volumizing working spray. The first curl I typically tend to do away from the face or under, however you prefer to refer to it as. I'm using a Marcel iron here today. This is typically what professional hairdressers use. And usually people leave the ends out. It creates a more unintentional look. Very beautiful, very flattering, very easy. And so you wrap the hair around the barrel and you allow it to heat up, leaving the ends out, of course, again. And you just take another section. Be sure to apply spray on both sides from top to end. And you can use the comb to distribute the hairspray all throughout the hair. Don't be afraid to comb the hair. And then you wrap the hair around the barrel of the curling iron. I choose to use a smaller curling iron in this instance. This is a 1/2 inch, only because I like starting out with tighter curls because it gives a more fuller wave at the end. So we'll take another section, apply hairspray on the front and the back, comb through it, wrap it around the barrel. And you don't have to curl in the same direction. There's no right or wrong way to do it. In fact, if you want it to look more effortless and more beachy than prom or formal like, it's best if you alternate the directions that the hair is curled in, because then the waves will not be uniform. And a lot of times people curl their hair and they just wrap all the hair around the curling iron, and then what happens is only the hair that touches the curling iron first gets exposed to the heat. And so the hair that's wrapped on the outermost parts never actually gets enough heat. And so that's why you never get a full-bodied curl. Another thing that's important to keep in mind is that you have to allow the hair to cool before you drop it. Otherwise, you'll lose the curl as well. So if you're wondering why I'm gently placing the hair on her shoulders, it's to maintain the curl until it fully cools. That allows for a better curl, a more full-bodied curl. And so the last two I did, I was kind of curling to the front. Maybe on this one, I'll curl in a backward direction. For the sake of time, I'm taking a strip that spans from top to bottom on her head. But if I were doing this and not being videotaped, I might make these sections that I'm doing as 1, 2. And the benefit of that would be that it will be more curls, so it creates a wider canvas of waves. And this is going to be so beautiful. This is the transformation of a lifetime. It takes awesome hair and makes it extraordinary hair. And I don't know about you, but any day I have extraordinary hair, I have a great day. These clip-ins are so diverse, easy to use, and amazing. It gives you the opportunity to have a lot of versatility with your style and just really enhance the hair you already have. See this blonde? It's amazing. apply the spray, wrap it up, curl. One thing I didn't talk about is the temperature that you put the curling iron on. In my haste, I just began curling. These clip-ins are really awesome because they can withstand a substantial amount of heat. So right now, I'm curling with the iron at a temperature of 400. And prior to us curling them, I actually went in with a flat iron and straightened them. The luster did not change. The texture did not change. I didn't experience any shedding, and I didn't see any breakage. And that is not often the case when you're using clip-ins or seeking out extension hair. So that's always a great thing to keep in mind when you want to decide on which hair to use. Hair that can handle heat, because we as ladies tend to use a lot of thermal styling with our hair. You want to pick a quality choice that can handle being curled. And we're about 60% done. And the outcome is going to be so awesome. And everybody uses their curling iron different. So if you see me and I look like I'm clicking this thing kind of weird, I'm using the Nina method. My methods are usually unorthodox, but they work well for me. I'm just thankful you're watching. And if you haven't got this much time to curl your hair like this, another option you can do is spritz your hair once the clip-ins are installed with a tiny bit of water and install flexi rods. For those of you that don't know what flexi rods are, it's just a form of a roller, and it's kind of made of foam, and it has like a type of vinyl coating on the outside of it, and it's usually about 8 to 10 inches long, and you would just wrap the hair around the flexi rod the same as you would around a curling iron, and then you carry on with all the things you're doing as far as getting ready, putting on your makeup, putting your clothes on, talking on the phone, drinking coffee. And then when it's time to go, you take the flexi rods out and voila, you got curls. And that works well for people that don't have time to curl, people that don't feel like curling, or people that are not good at curling. Or if you don't really like putting heat on your hair, because that's an option, a styling option that doesn't require any heat at all. And the clip-ins can handle heat, but putting a lot of heat on your own hair is never recommended unless you're using some sort of thermal protection spray, and you're definitely maintaining a great regimen of deep conditioning. It is great to look great, but the most important component of looking great is having healthy hair. If you have hair that's unhealthy, it makes it really hard to make it look great. And as you can see, when the hair was straight, it was not as easy to see all the dimension and all the color that was present. But adding these curls really creates an awesome canvas full of texture. So the blonde just pops in every direction. And that's really what you want. And again, if you wanted less waves or just a minimal bend at the bottom, you would use a larger curling iron than the one that I'm using. I've chosen to use a 1/2 inch one only because my personal preference is to begin with tighter curls because it creates optimal waves in my opinion. The dimension that's created from the clip-ins is phenomenal to me. This is a brilliant product. The versatility that it offers is so convenient and so awesome, especially for a girl on the go. And you just go through and kind of feather out the curls, and you create these effortless, beautiful waves. And there's a full canvas of dimension, and it's just beautiful. And I'll actually spin her around to the front so you can see. One thing you can also do is add a little shine spray. I typically focus on the ends. You can add a little bit more of styling spray. Sometimes I use texturing spray or sea spray. And it's effortless and beautiful.